Hi, I'm Michael Skinner. Welcome to Georgia Outdoors. On this program, we're going to explore the mystery of Carolina bays. No one's quite sure how Carolina bays were formed, but one theory even suggests the help of extraterrestrial visitors. We'll explore the theories and meet some of the creatures that live in our Carolina bays. Coming up next.
Who is devoting a great deal of effort and resources to protecting Georgia's environment? The same company that helps maintain the environment inside your home. Georgia Power, proud sponsor of programming on GPTV.
Take one move ahead. In the coastal plain of Georgia, there are thousands of circular-shaped wetlands. Though these areas range in size from just a few acres to many thousands, they have many features in common. All are elliptical in shape, they are oriented on a northwest to southeast axis, and they are all ringed with ridges of sand on the south and east margins. And they are all called bays. Because Carolina bays have such a uniformity of features, it has challenged many theorists to propose a single mechanism for their development or creation. It is the great mystery of the Carolina bays, and one that we set out to explore. With us is Eric Vandegenauf, a biologist with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Natural Heritage Program. He is conducting a study of the distribution, status, and diversity of Carolina bays in Georgia. He tells me that the best way to really understand Carolina bays is to view them from the sky.
When you're on the ground, Carolina bays are so large that it's hard to understand all those characteristics, their size, their shape, how they're distributed. From the air, when you see a Carolina bay, the vegetation tends to be concentric or like a bullseye, and often you'll have open water in the center portion, and then as you extend out from the center, the habitat and the vegetation changes.
After spotting our first Carolina bay, we decide to land and explore on foot. Because Georgia has been experiencing drought for some time, the bays here in Screven County on the South Carolina border are dry, making it a little easier to explore. It is thought that what has protected Carolina bays from complete integration into agriculture is the difficulty of making your way into these environments. The gradual downward slope to the center of the Carolina bays presents a graduating wetland community starting with the shrub bog. This is followed by wet savanna. The savanna here is dry from drought, but many of the same plants still exist here. Many grasses, pitcher plants, and sedges grow here, peppered with tall, straight cypress. Eric, this is interesting here. This is a cypress tree, but this doesn't look like cypress.
This is a very interesting plant. This is called Pyrus, and it is a plant that grows underneath the bark of the cypress tree and then pops out in these little locations. It's not a terribly rare plant, but it doesn't occur in many places in Georgia.
That's really neat. In the center of many deeper Carolina bays, blackgum and cypress swamps grow. Again, here in Screven County, the swamp is dried up, but many stay wet year-round.
What could have caused this? It could be perhaps there was a fire. We see some evidence of fire here. It may be that the hydro period or the level of water over a period of a year.
This variety of wetland communities supports an interesting variety of animals. Because Carolina bays are not necessarily wet year-round and thus do not support a fish population, they are fantastic refuges for many amphibians. They also provide a home to many reptiles, including the American alligator, a species that was once listed as federally endangered, but whose populations have rebounded. Another important reptile that lives in Carolina bays is the eastern indigo snake. The indigo snake is the largest snake in North America and is listed as federally threatened. Also threatened is the gopher tortoise, which likes to make its home in the sandy ridges of the south and east borders of the Carolina bays. Gopher tortoises will burrow into these ridges up to 20 feet deep, and over 100 different species will borrow these burrows for their homes as well. Birds are another group of animals that call Carolina bays their refuge. Wood storks are federally endangered and often come to nest in the black gum and cypress swamps at the core of many Carolina bays. Wood storks are the only stork in North America, and when they snap their bill on their prey, it is one of the fastest reflexes in the animal world. The bald eagle is another species of bird that will make its home in the cypress trees of the Carolina bays. Bald eagles primarily hunt fish in nearby open water, but they will also steal fish from a neighboring gull or osprey.
Carolina bays face multiple threats. The most significant, most common threat is ditching and draining. They also face threats from aggressive silvicultural or forestry practices. Some of them are converted to agriculture. Some Carolina bays are threatened by exotic species that invade and take over. And the sand rim on the eastern and southern portions of Carolina bays can be impacted by road development and by also silvicultural activities. This is an example of how sand rims along Carolina bays can be impacted. Often because they're high and they're dry, it's a great place to put a road, and so often you'll see just that. A straight road will be going right along ahead, and then it'll make this peculiar turn, and then start heading straight again. And this is the kind of thing we see quite frequently.
So we just follow the road?
Yeah. This Carolina bay is a great example of how a variety of habitats can be located in one small location. It's also been impacted by fire and to some degree by human disturbance. And all of these factors together make it a great opportunity to compare and contrast how Carolina bays are formed and how they're affected by disturbances.
But how were these Carolina bays formed?
Probably the most extraordinary explanation for how Carolina bays were formed is that they were created by extraterrestrial life landing here in Georgia, and that these Carolina bays were their landing pads. Another theory is that these Carolina bays were created by prehistoric beaver, very large beaver, that impounded small streams and created large ponds behind their dams. Another theory is that Carolina bays were created by a meteor shower coming through the atmosphere and crashing into the coastal plain. Another set of theories revolves around the Carolina bays being created by the ocean or the animals in the ocean. One thought is that as the shoreline receded over time, these Carolina bays were formed much like ocean bays today. The second theory is that they were formed by underwater springs that eventually tossed up the soil as water welled up from below. Lastly, and perhaps the most fun idea, is the thought that these Carolina bays were created by thousands of fish together wagging their tails to create a giant nest. Some of the more plausible ideas or theories on how Carolina bays were formed is due to ancient storm events where there was drought periods along with heavy rain periods and very strong winds. All of these theories are wonderful to contemplate and think about.
What we do know is that Carolina bays are an important part of our ecosystem. They are small pockets that contain abundant plant and animal life, and they are worth protecting. When we mention the amphibian creatures of the Carolina bays, do you think of salamanders that are 3.5 feet long? Well, neither did we. John Jensen, a biologist with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, came with traps to set us straight. We met at the Grand Bay Wildlife Management Area near Valdosta. Grand Bay is a 6,000-acre Carolina bay, the second largest cypress black gum bay in Georgia. The largest is the Okefenokee Swamp. What we are hoping to catch and observe are two types of salamanders that are found in southern Georgia, amphiumas and sirens. John put out the traps last night. So what do you bait these things with?
Sardines. You don't have to bait them. Amphiumas and sirens will stumble in them, but it's just another little extra thing that might help.
Sardines? You guys at DNR use sardines for black bears. You use them for sirens. You guys use sardines for everything.
Good stinky bait. Good stinky bait. You ready?
Sure.
Let's see what we got.
Got a can of sardines.
Can of sardines. Why don't you pull this one?
Okay.
Just slide it up. Ah,
Ooh.
little fish.
Looks like, what is that? Is that a...
Might be it's a sunfish, obviously.
Sunfish.
I think it might be a spotted sunfish.
Oh, we're 0 for 2, John.
Yeah.
What kind of success rate do you have with these traps?
Honestly, I haven't used these traps. I used to use minnow traps. This is new for me, but we'll see.
Oh!
Bingo!
Oh, look at that. Whoa. What do we have here?
Amphiuma, two-toed amphiuma. One of the ones we're looking for.
Oh, well, let's take him up on the dock so we can get a closer look at him. Can I give you a hand?
Yeah, let's, if you can put a little bit of water in that bucket, we're going to just dip them down in there. Pour them in there.
Oh! He's a jumper.
Pretty good size one. Let's throw this sardines back in here. You got them?
Yep.
I brought this aquarium so we can see a little better. This water here is so stained it's hard to really observe them well.
Look at that.
Look at that beast.
Now there's an amazing creature right there. Amphiumas are the longest salamanders in the United States. These are aquatic animals that rarely come onto land except under very damp conditions like a rainstorm. But because these creatures like to live in murky, dark places, many people will never see an amphiuma in their lifetime. And even if they did, they'd often mistake them for an eel or even a snake.
A couple common names they have are Congo eel and ditch eel, but they're a true amphibian.
Eels are fish, and snakes are reptiles. But amphiumas are amphibians? What's the difference? Well, amphibians have legs, and fish have fins. Amphibians have smooth, porous skin, and snakes have scales. Amphibians can live part of their life on land, and fish cannot. Amphibians are also cold-blooded and will generally have an aquatic larval stage, and they can live in a variety of habitats, but all must be freshwater environments.
This is one of these, hidden biodiversity kind of creatures here. You don't just really run into them. You have to make a pretty concerted effort to find them, as we did. We set traps. There are 3 species of amphiuma. In Georgia we have 2, but the 3 are the one-toed, the two-toed, and the three-toed. In Georgia we have the one-toed and the two-toed, and this is the two-toed. The one-toed is a protected species in Georgia. It's listed as rare.
What do you do if you find a four-toed? Is that two two-toads that have made it?
that'd be a find.
Fascinating creature.
Oh yeah. I invited a couple of other biologists that should be joining us shortly.
Really? Who'd you invite out?
Christina Sorensen. She works with U.S. Geological Survey, and she's a graduate student at University of Florida working with amphiuma and Siren. And the other person is Paul Moeller with Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, who is kind of my counterpart in the state of Florida, though he's probably the leading authority on sirens in the world.
Oh, great. So we get to learn more.
Yeah, we got some true experts coming.
Fantastic. Sirens are another species of amphibian that live in very similar environments. There are 3 species of sirens: the greater siren, the lesser siren, and the dwarf siren. The traps that John has put out last night have also ensnared a siren for us to examine. Christina will help me check the traps.
Let's put him in the bucket.
Bigger legs. They do look quite a bit different, don't they?
Yeah, these guys have 2 substantial front limbs as opposed to the amphiumas, which have 4 reduced limbs. Mind hold that for a second? Thank you.
So tell us about the research that you're doing.
I'm part of a national amphibian research and monitoring initiative going on to survey federal lands for possible amphibian declines. And I'm working in the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge here in Georgia, doing a marker capture study, try to learn some more about life history and population ecology of these poorly known animals. There's been no real population estimates or work done on them, so we're hoping to change that. These new traps have been developed and they have close to 40% capture success in most areas. So we're hoping to learn some more about their population ecology and whether or not their populations are healthy.
Have you seen any indication in the swamp of anything that might be hurting them?
The primary predator is probably alligators. a substantial food source for them.
The siren and the amphiuma look a lot alike, but they are not only different species, they actually belong to different families within the class Amphia. Side by side, we can more easily recognize the differences. The amphiuma has 4 legs, and the siren has only 2 front legs. The siren has external gills for breathing, and the amphiuma only has gill slits. The amphiuma can reach a maximum length of 3.5 feet, whereas even the greater siren will only reach a maximum length of 1.5 feet. Both species are colored darkly on their backs and lighter on their bellies, but sirens may have lighter colored spots and blotches. Paul Moeller can tell us more. Well, John tells me that you're Mr. Siren. How do these animals come up with their common names?
Siren? They actually make sounds, particularly if we were to take him and just sort of pinch his tail, he'd make a squeaking sound, and it's a reasonably long stretch from that sound to the siren's call, but that's where it's from.
How long have you been studying these kinds of animals?
I've been working with siren now for about 15 years.
Tell me what a typical research day is when you're out looking for sirens.
You look for suitable habitat. I do most of my collecting with a 3-sided box with a hardware cloth mesh, and we run it under floating vegetation or along the edge of a pond, pull the debris into the dredge, and then pull it up on the bank and sort through it, looking for specimens. Siren are very secretive. They spend most of their time burrowing in thick vegetation or in muck. If the pond that they're in dries up, they burrow into the muck and form a cocoon, and they can probably stay buried in the muck dormant for as much as 5 years. If you go through a long drought, they may stay buried in the muck for as much as 5 years, and then when the rains come and refill the pond, then they come back up, and they're a little thinner by then, but they're still there.
You've studied sirens for a long time. What was it that drew you to studying these kinds of creatures?
They're just fascinating in their own right. They're sort of bizarre. They have 2 front legs and no back legs, which makes them pretty unique right there. And they're just very interesting animals.
Am I correct? And I recall somebody saying that fishermen actually would use young of these as largemouth bait.
I personally think what we call plastic worms, fish believe are sirens. Plastic worms that fishermen use move very much like a siren in the water. Particularly in some areas in central Florida, there's a long history of people collecting the smaller siren and selling them in bait shops for bass bait.
Maybe we ought to give angling a little try. But I think we'll use plastic worms and let these creatures go.
In 1994, the Georgia Department of Natural Resources began construction of the Grand Bay Wetlands Education Center. Since its completion, the center has been booked solid by schools from around the state. Children visiting this center are given the opportunity to learn about our physical and biological environment in the actual setting. They also get a chance to touch a real, life alligator.
The Grand Bay Wildlife Management Area is a good place for just about anything, not just trapping extraordinarily long salamanders. At 9,400 acres, the area supports a diverse group of activities. Larry Spears is the area manager, and he's offered to take us on a float down the canoe trail and tell us more about the area. Oh, there he is, Larry.
I don't know.
In between bites, that is.
Well, there's the sign for the trail. How big are the trails here, Larry?
Well, you'll see probably 8 or 10 feet wide. There has been some encroachment this spring for the lilies. But we've got about 3.5 miles of trail that's actually maintained with trail cutters and the use of airboat to help keep them, open for the canoeists.
Well, see if we can scare a fish out of here. That's nice looking water.
Many fish can be caught in the waters of Grand Bay, including the chain pickerel, the warmouth, the flyer, and the bowfin. It's the bowfin that seems to be biting today.
Oh, 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 oh. There he is. There he is. Oh, no, he's going to wrap me. Oh, this is terrible. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get him out of here. Oh, no.
The bowfin is the last remaining species of an ancient order of fish. It was a group of fish that lived about 150 million years ago. One distinct feature of a bowfin, one that really sets it apart from other species of fish, is its unique swim bladder. This characteristic allows bowfin to gulp oxygen directly from the air.
Oh, yeah. That was fun, but he went and hit on me, just trying to cover up. This is a really ancient fish with a mouthful of teeth. You don't ever want to get your fingers in the middle of this. What is it you like most about this swamp?
Well, I like the different seasons. You know, the habitat for wildlife, bird life. It's just each season is different. The black water is intriguing to me. It's fun just to be out here to relax, and whether or not you're fishing or just cruising along.
I don't know. Is there a better time of year that you like? Whoa, whoa! He was right. Oh no!
Yeah, this time
They're
of year
right
looks
at
pretty good.
right at the boat. Oh man! Another bowfin. And now I can call this my bowfin rig.
That's the rig.
Do you ever tip your jigs with live bait like you do for crappie?
You can. As a matter of fact, I was going to suggest that we can put him on there and
Why don't we do that?
double up.
Maybe increase the odds a little bit.
Probably the early part of the day was generally the best time to fish for the perch. Morning, afternoon, late afternoon. Oop. Yeah. We're about halfway, I guess, to the prairie. As you can see, we've got arrows that indicate, and it's pretty hard to get off track with a canoe.
Grand Bay is also a good area for hunting, duck hunting in particular. One problem from the past has been the lack of old-growth black gum and cypress trees. These trees naturally develop cavities over time, but few in the area are large enough for wood ducks. As part of a wetlands restoration program, over 850 wood duck boxes have been erected on the area.
The older boxes, the nesting boxes, were put on trees.
Oh, is that
earlier?
Is that what I see there above that number?
Yeah, that's probably a warbler nest, or you can tell it's a smaller hole than it would use for wood duck.
Mm-hmm.
But a few of those scattered around along the canal.
Let's see if we can get one more fish. Coax one more out of there. Certainly that's big enough little lake for two bowfin, isn't it? Or maybe a jack?
I'd like to see a jack.
Yeah, maybe that one bowfin owned that little territory. Oh, no, he didn't.
There it is.
Oh, this is a bigger fish. Oh, man. Right at the boat again.
Yeah,
I don't believe
it.
Oh, look at that guy. Oh, man. Oh. Boy, he just spit that out. Darn it. Actually, that's the best way to release the hook out of it, isn't it? Don't even have to bring it to the
get a
boat.
little fight out of it, and then he takes off.
Ooh, that's fun. What do we have here?
Yeah.
Oh, big bowfin.
Biggie.
Oh! Don't put me back out in the middle of the water if you would. Look at that. Hoo-wee. Well, they're not pickerel, but they're fun. Look at that guy.
Oh, yeah,
Holy
that's a keeper there.
smokes.
I had a big net. I should have brought it.
Did you say earlier you wanted to save one of these guys?
Yeah, I'd like to.
You wanted?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Would this be a good one?
That'll be a treat for Big Al.
Big Al. Who's Big Al?
That's the big loggerhead turtle that.
Oh, alligator snapper?
Yeah, down at the Ed Center.
Oh. So I'm catching dinner for. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Look at him bite down on that. Wow. About the end of the line.
Yeah, we're back to where we started.
I'll tell you what. Those bowfin were a blast. We didn't find any jack or warmouth, but...
Yeah, that one jack strike you had, indication that they are here, but we would have probably done better with the perch early in the morning before the sun gets high, starts to warm up.
Well, they provided us, the bowfin provided us with some excitement, though.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I appreciate you guiding me out there, though.
Sure. Anytime.
At least we got some turtle food.
Okay, this was our catch of the day. We're gonna.
Somebody else gets.
Well,
to
actually,
eat it.
we did catch more, but it is good that Big Al will make a meal out of it.
And Big Al is an alligator snapping turtle.
Right. He's approximately 130 pounds. Came from Louisiana. And I wonder if we just put it right on his nose, if it would encourage him to
I mean, you're not
take
gonna,
it, but he may not eat it.
You're not
while
going to get
we're
there and
here.
turn him around?
Yeah, right.
Who is devoting a great deal of effort and resources to protecting Georgia's environment? The same company that helps maintain the environment inside your home. Georgia Power, proud sponsor of programming on GPTV.
Picture yourself on Georgia Outdoors. Enter the second annual Georgia Outdoors Nature Photography Contest and win an opportunity to be a part of a Georgia Outdoors episode. Rules and restrictions apply. Call 1-800-549-4558 or visit our website for more information.